It's time to dad.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Time to Dad. The last two episodes you guys met Brad and JT, and tonight we have a third dad that we're bringing on, and this is his first episode. So Nick, you mind giving our viewers and listeners just a little bit of your background?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Nick, other Nick. I am two Nicks, that's right. I'm an attorney in North Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. I have two boys, Major and Magnus. They are 5 and 3. Major just started kindergarten in a Spanish immersion program here in Alexandria. Maggie is 3, so he's here at home. We have an au pair who lives with us from Brazil. He pretty much spends all day hanging out with her. And otherwise, it is me and my wife, our 2 dogs. We got about a half acre here in Alexandria. We spend a lot of time outside. We've got an RV garage and a camper that we like to go take camping and go canoeing and kayaking and pretty much anything we can do outside when we get the opportunity. Prior to Virginia, I am originally from Michigan, went to Michigan State for undergrad, moved to Florida shortly after I graduated, then Alabama for law school, lived in Georgia for a time, and now I'm here. So I've been kind of all over the place. I suppose probably the coolest thing that I've done in my life is when I was 19 and 20, I used to teach scuba diving and sailing in the Virgin Islands for about 2 years to mainly high schoolers, some middle schoolers. 27, 28-foot catamaran and sail around to that was a good time. Excited to be on the podcast, talk about, I've had a lot of various storied background. So I have a lot of finance to talk about, a lot of pro bono work for family court topics to talk about that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the podcast, enjoying talking with y'all.
Nice, man.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah. So again, if you guys missed the previous 2 episodes, 2 episodes ago was Brad's intro episode, and the last episode we just dropped last Friday was JT's first episode. So check that out. Get a little bit of background on those guys. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Like we said, we were hoping to bring on some more dads, and these guys were cool enough to join us. So really excited what kind of topics we get out of this. But that being said, I mean, right before the show, we were talking fall sports, and I think that's pretty much mostly any dad. I think at some point you get, even if it's your kids are just trying it out and never end up playing a sport again. I think at some point every dad runs into kids in sports, and so for me right now, and I think for some of you other guys, I kind of did assistant coaching in the spring for T-ball, and had a blast doing that. So for the fall coming up, I signed up to actually coach. So we have our coaches meeting tomorrow, so we'll see what that's all about. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I don't know how long you guys have had kids in sports.
Yeah, this is we're just starting up softball. So this is my 7-year-old, her second year playing softball, and I'd help out how I can. I'm an assistant coach. I don't have time to make lineups for figure out who's going to bat the cleanup spot for 6-year-olds and stuff. And I'm sure T-ball is kind of the same way. It's hard to keep 6-year-olds' interest in anything. So you're walking around the field.
T-ball, man.
Oh, yeah.
Did your daughter skip the kind of T-ball phase of it?
Yeah, she skipped T-ball and she went right to coach's pitch.
You missed out. It's an absolute shit show with kids that are like T-ball age, like 5 to 6.
Yeah.
Well, 4, 5, 6 in our league, but it's 100% a shit show. They play in the dirt. That's all they do. You're constantly worried somebody is going to get beanballed because they're just not paying attention. It's an absolute shit show, but it is like the best ending to a week when you have like a Friday or a Saturday game, because you can't help but laugh and smile at these kids. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You got to put in time and put in some work. Even if you're assistant coach, like you said, you got to take the time to be there and have the patience. But it's absolutely hilarious watching these kids kind of grow up and learn the sport.
No, it's so much fun. I mean, all you're really doing, like you said, is kind of just keeping them focused on what they're doing. And half the time, by like the 5th inning, you say, get ready. And they're just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. They just straight up tell you. They're like, I'm not going to do that. So, but no, it's a blast. I love it.
Basically, they've got the attention span of a chihuahua.
Yes.
Probably even less than that.
I remember that South Park episode where they're, on the baseball team and trying to lose. I don't know if y'all watch South Park, but there's a pretty funny one where they are all trying to lose, and I could not agree more. They are all tight. T-ball is 3 innings, if that, if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And everybody runs the bases, and by the 3rd inning, they're like, all right, this has been great. Let's go home, or they're laying in the ground making dirt angels or whatever it is that they're doing on that given day. So I've been coaching T-ball for 2 years, and it is a lot of fun. I always grow my beard out at this time, and then I shave it off before the first game and have I dye my mustache blue because we're the Tigers and stuff like that. And it's fun. It's fun for that, just because I don't wear a mustache the rest of the year, but for T-ball, my kid loves it, and we dye it blue and have a good time, which is really what it's about, I think. Just getting them used to it and having fun.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question. Being that I'm a pretty good ways away from that, what are y'all's? What's the biggest struggles whenever you're trying to get your child into some kind of sport? What are the biggest struggles of actually getting them interested, as well as keeping them interested, versus what are some of the best accomplishments or the most enjoyable experiences from it?
Okay, so number one is if they've never played the sport, if you haven't already been throwing ball with them in the backyard, I'm speaking specific to baseball. Maybe we talk about football in another episode, because it sounds like we're all in baseball mode right now, and T-ball. But I would say start playing catch with them, whatever, before you even think about introducing them to the sport. Because if you don't do that, I think it's even harder to explain to your kid how much fun it's going to be to play. And I think it's going to be a little steeper of a learning curve going in there, knowing absolutely nothing. The second biggest thing is if you land the wrong coach, and by that, in my opinion, I'm talking about the coaches that think these kids are Division I friggin' college athletes and harp on the kids. I mean, there was one coach in our league that was like that last year. And it irked me so much, it actually sparked me to write a post, kind of a lessons learned post, and a personal memo to myself on my Facebook account. But I could literally watch these kids when he harped on them. You could physically see that kid just shut down. And you could just watch the smile leave their face when this coach, and he wasn't yelling at them, like a high school or a middle school coach can yell at people. But it was just the very aggressive tone he used to speak to these little kids. And it bugged the shit out of me so much that I basically wrote a post that was, basically telling myself the kind of coach I'm pledging to always be, and the kind of coach I don't want to be, because it really hurt just to watch these poor kids shut down like that. And when you can visually see it, that's your proof right there that is just, you're doing more harm than good. And if your kid lands with a coach like that, I would say either try to talk to your league and get on a different team, or, if it's bad enough, get your kid the hell out of that league. Because when you start them at that age, the second it becomes not fun, you're going to lose them. Especially a sport. I think baseball is everybody's seen it, right? Baseball has been kind of a slowly dying sport. There's not a lot of interest in it. Even the majors are losing viewership and stuff. And so if you crush a kid's heart for a sport like that at a young age, you're never going to get them back. You're never going to teach them that it can be fun again. So that's my number one thing I would say to really watch out for is just, make sure your kid is there with a coach that wants to be there, a supportive coach, and a coach that friggin' understands that these are little kids. And I think if you can at least nail those, there's a lot on you as a parent to kind of work with them. Like my son, I'd have to bribe my son to practice at home with shit just because at home there's a lot more he could do. And to him, baseball's not as exciting as, at least right now, playing on a swing set or driving his RC car or playing Nintendo. So I had to bribe him sometimes with, treats or whatever to get him to, play catch with me for 10 or 15 minutes. But I think the coaching is the biggest piece, man. If your kid lands on a team with a harsh coach that, maybe they currently actually coach a higher level of baseball with like a school or something. But if they land with a bad coach, you're already on the wrong foot, and it's going to be an even harder uphill battle to get them to stick with it.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, like I joke with people that, like, with my background coming from the military and everything, that, like, when I'm coaching, like, I'm treating them like little Marines and stuff. But I hate seeing that from, like, other coaches. And you're absolutely right, Nick. I mean, a kid's never going to play again. It's not going to be fun. I would also say that, getting them into something, practicing, if they come into like with softball from my oldest daughter, I've seen kids come in and they start playing and they get discouraged so quickly that if they get discouraged right off the bat, they don't want to play anymore. So like Nick's saying, if you practice a little bit beforehand, they're going to go into it. They're going to understand that they're not always going to be the best player on the team, but, they can play, they can mess around a little bit, and they're going to have fun, rather than a kid that gets up there and they don't know what they're doing, and it's not going to be fun for them. So just prepare them, rather than just throwing them into something. I mean, one of the biggest struggles for us and my daughter, who's playing different sports right now, was her just also narrowing down like what she wants to do. For a while she wanted to do gymnastics, which, we tried that and she enjoyed it. She wanted to start playing golf, which I selfishly love, because if I can have an excuse to go play golf with my kid, my wife's not going to hate me for it all the time or getting out on Saturday. But just kind of narrowing stuff down, because I've also seen parents that play soccer and baseball in the same season, and you're running from a soccer game to a baseball game to a softball game, whatever. And not only does it suck for the parents, but the kids aren't going to have that much fun either. So I would say pick one sport rather than, one sport a season, and, just try and focus on that one.
Right. Rather than stretch yourself thin.
Yeah.
So I have a couple thoughts on this. One is, don't sleep on YouTube videos, right? Don't sleep on watching some soccer games, watching some baseball games. Baseball games are hard for kids because there's not a lot going on for a lot of it. But, my kid wanted to play. I showed him David Freese hit a home run in, the Cardinals World Series, and suddenly he wanted to play T-ball. That's a big, that just seeing the crowd reaction and just getting that vibe. It's a great way to get them into it. And it's the, same thing. My 5-year-old has no interest in football, but my 3-year-old, he can't wait for football season to start so he can watch the Lions with me. He's so excited about it. So there's a lot of ways with just, when I was interested in getting him into sports, I was like, hey man, sit down with me and let's watch some YouTube videos. Let's watch some stuff on this stuff that you don't really have much exposure to, but you get to see. And then my other thing is coached. T-ball's not hard from a coach perspective. And it's a great way. Like my kid loves T-ball, and he doesn't love T-ball because I think he's particularly interested in T-ball, if I'm being 100% honest. but he loves it because I coach it, right? He just gets to go around and say, my dad's the coach. My dad's the coach, right? He just gets super excited about that. We dye his hair blue to match my mustache. He gets super excited about that, and it's just a good bonding moment for him and me. And that's why he likes it. So I mean, if it's something where you're really, really wanting her to get interested in it, show her you're interested in it. Or show him, you have a boy. Show him you're interested in it, right? Whatever it is. And you don't have to have coaching experience to coach 4-year-old soccer or 4-year-old t-ball or 4-year-old football or whatever it is. I don't think they have 4-year-old football, but some of the other stuff, if you were trying to coach gymnastics, you probably should know a thing or two about gymnastics. But for the most part, you can get by in t-ball without really a whole ton of experience. So that's my thing. Get involved yourself. Show them your interest in it, and they'll reciprocate. They like doing things that make you happy, and then you like doing things that make them happy, and that's a cycle.
Well, that brings me to my next question. I've always had a problem with the idea of participation trophies. I mean, I don't know. Call me traditional. I mean, I believe that certain obviously as a kid gets older, the purpose of it is to be more competitive. So participation trophies aren't really a good way to teach children that that they're going to just receive something because they did it. You got to have some sort of reward ratio. I don't know. It's weird. So my question to you guys is, at what point do you start actually trying to instill competitiveness in your children? Because obviously I understand when they're small, you're really just trying to get them interested. But at what point do you hope to get them interested enough to be competitive?
So I think our sorry, Brad. I think our our league is part of the Babe Ruth League, and they're national, and they've got national standards for the league. And what they did, I thought was pretty cool. So we have four t-ball teams in our league. At the end of the season, they gave out medals to first, medals to second, medals to third. And after that, we still had playoffs in which one team took home a trophy. Like those were the kids that got a trophy. Because I agree. It's kind of a touchy subject when it comes to like t-ball, where you more want them to learn. I think in t-ball, I would rather my son learn more about sportsmanship than winning, losing at that level. When he starts getting into, once he learns that, okay, you ran into this fucking second baseman and knocked him on his ass, help him up. Once he learns that sportsmanship piece of baseball, and once he really understands why teams shake hands at the end, like I think that's the most important thing for them to get out of those t-ball levels. Obviously, fundamentals are crucial: swinging, throwing, things like that. But baseball, I think, is a very unique animal with the level of sportsmanship that it has for that age level. But I too don't really like, hey, everybody gets a trophy. I liked that the league we're in kind of they still differentiated, right? You still had a number 1 through a number 3 team, and then number 4 team, poor guys didn't get anything. And then they did a playoff. So it was kind of like a participation trophy thing, but it wasn't really. But I do know there's leagues where just everybody gets a trophy and it's rah, rah, hoorah, the whole time. And at the t-ball level, like, okay, I understand it. You want to make the kids happy about it. But I do agree there is a time and place to focus and teach your kids. I think that's why a lot of parents put their kids in sports to begin with, because sports teach you a lot of life lessons that unless you participate in a sport, you're not going to learn those life lessons. I think kids that participate in sports and they get to that level where winning and losing is a big deal and they start taking it personally, I just think that helps you develop those life skills like determination, perseverance, hard work, that I think honestly a lot of kids that are coming into our workforce now don't know. And I don't entirely think that's because none of them played sports. I just think kids coming up now are missing that piece, and that's the biggest thing to me. I don't know where you draw that line, I guess is really what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But I don't think it's the T-ball level, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I certainly understand. I mean, like I said, I can understand at that level. You're probably just, again, like you said, teaching them sportsmanship and the fundamentals. But you mentioned bad coaches, and and I'm certain that part of that could be those coaches are probably a little bit over excited about it, and they want their
It's
team to
100%
win.
an ego thing, man.
So so I can understand that, and I'm not even opposed to participation trophies for, say, T-ball. But again, obviously you're just trying to get them excited and interested about the sport. But again, yeah, it's just, I like to know where y'all gentlemen, start actually looking at crossing that line into instilling competitiveness. And if you want a trophy, you got to work your butt off for it.
Mhm.
Well, one thing I would say is I don't think you're going to need to worry about instilling competitiveness in most kids. They want to
Yeah.
win, and they're pissed when somebody's on first base and they want to be playing first base. I mean, like, competitiveness is kind of innate, innatured in them, and you almost need to take some of it out. I mean, that's kind of maybe the early lessons.
Yeah.
In soccer, we had this problem. Our team has been playing together for the past, I think we're at up to, this will be our fourth season of the same kids and the same coach. And it's just been really cohesive, which I think has been fantastic for both learning skills and also just how they interact with each other. But a lot of the times, because of that cohesiveness, and it's really a lot of it because of that cohesiveness, we start to crush the other team, right? And we're playing 3-on-3 soccer. And so, one of the things that we teach them is, like, if we're up 3-4 scores, we're going to go to the other team and we're going to tell them to add a kid, right? We're playing 3-on-4 now, right? And it's harder. And usually we're still doing pretty well against that, but, like, it's you guys need a bigger challenge, right? And that's the conversation we have with them, is we're challenging you. And that challenge means that you're doing well. And that challenge is a reward, right? That's the way we teach, making it harder on them as the reward, so that they grow both skill and they grow learning that perhaps we don't need to crush the team 15-0. If we win 1-0, but we played a harder game, that means something. For little stuff, I'm not talking about high school sports. High school sports, crush them 124-0. Who cares? But for little kids sports, we're trying to learn skills. We're trying to teach how you dribble the ball. What is, we work on passing, where other teams work on just staying on the field. And it's about that. We're not there to crush right now. We're there to learn the game and play in a competitive zone.
Yeah, I'll say.
I think that's
go
ahead.
No, I cut you off last time. It's your turn.
Well, no, I was gonna say. I mean, I think that, like Nick was just saying, y'all. I mean, you'd be surprised how much 5, 6, 7-year-olds want to win. It's just natural. But it is. At the same time, I mean, I hate seeing that same kid just be absolutely destroyed when they lose a game. So, you do want to recognize them, but I agree that, you show them at an early age that you want to compete and be the best. And you are kind of instilling that teamwork in them at that earliest stage. That's kind of the main goal of what you're doing at the youngest levels.
I was going to say, so with our T-ball league being 4 through 6, when you get to that T-ball age, if you're at practice, whether you're coaching or not, you will notice a very distinct difference between a 4 and a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. I feel like from the players I've seen, those 6-year-olds they're obviously ready to move on. They're visually hard on themselves when they make a mistake. That age, they start getting frustrated with their teammates because they're not throwing with all other 6-year-olds. Like, we may have 2 6-year-olds on the team and everybody else is 4 and 5. And we had a kid like that, and I made it my personal goal to kind of take him under my wing. And really, I wanted to instill in him that, hey, it's okay to be upset. And the reason you're upset is because either you made some mistakes or somebody else made some mistakes. And the whole point of practicing, playing games, if you're not learning something, this is the biggest thing you can tell a kid that's young. If you're not learning something every time you go on that field, then you're not doing it right. If you're not making mistakes and learning things, you're either in the league you shouldn't be in, you need to be in a higher level, or you're just not. Maybe the coach isn't working with them, the coach isn't challenging them. But I try to tell them that you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen, and the most important part is next time you come out on that field, you learn from those mistakes, and you learn that when the ball's hit, you got to be over at first base to catch that ball. You can't wait to see where the ball goes out the center field before you go to first, because you're not going to be there in time for the throw. That's kind of my joy, I guess, I get out of it is kind of relating the sports to future things these kids might run into in life. And we had one kid super hard on himself. He was a great player, but you just hate to see kids like that. And so if I could take those negatives that he was feeling and somehow turn it into a positive, to make sure he comes back on that field time after time again, that was kind of my goal. But also, I think, Brad, you mentioned, or it might have been Nick. Oh, it was Nick, I think. You mentioned even if you're not coaching, go out there and support. And that was since this was my first year last year, they already had a head coach and assistant coach, and I didn't want to step on any toes. So for like the first two practices, I just kind of sat on the bench. And I mean, I played baseball up through middle school and everything, and I love baseball. And so I just sat on the bench because I didn't want to step on toes. And so one day I realized the two coaches were kind of struggling to wrangle kids. So obviously we had a text chain for our team, and I messaged the coach and I said, hey, do you mind if I help out during practice? And he was like, God, no. Like the more parents I can get involved with practice, the easier it is on us to focus on things. Because at that age, kids are freaking everywhere, man. And a head coach and assistant coach cannot handle them. So I encourage any dad out, even if it's just being an extra outfielder and playing backup and just, doing underhand tosses to the kids. You don't need the coach's title to be able to help a team. And that also goes with just showing up for games, man. I'm sure we have blue collar dads listening to us, white collar dads that get every, you may have weekends off, you may be working weekends, but the more you can show up for a kid, I think that is the biggest thing you can do for them in sports. My dad worked for the post office for 30 something years, and he'd be working overtime weekends, but he would run his ass to my games, still in his uniform, from sweating to death from slinging mail all day, but he would still show up, and that would put the biggest smile on my face when I would see him get there. And so I think a lot of parents, if you watch Facebook videos, it seems like it's always the mom taking them to practice and stuff. And I just think that's doing your kids a disservice. For me, I think it's I guess it depends really if you have a daughter or a son, right? Daughters may prefer their mom come to the softball practices more than dad. They may prefer both. But really, I think showing up is just a huge piece of the puzzle. And I know with technology, parents are still there, but on the phone the whole time. So with showing up, you got to be present, right? If your kid's looking over to see if mom and dad are watching me and you're just scrolling through TikTok, I don't think that's how it should work. And that's advice for a lot of people. But yeah, just show up.
That's a whole other topic. Yeah,
for sure. I always preach. My wife and I talk about it all the time when we hang out with people that, it's just photo of everything they do as a family. And my wife and I we take a couple photos and then we enjoy whatever the hell wherever we are to do whatever we're doing. We made it our goal to be present, and when we're doing something fun, when we're out, that's a big thing of ours, is just being present, not on our devices, and being in the moment and not living, watching our kid live their life through the lens of our phone. honestly, the rest of the world does not need to see an hour-long video on Facebook of what your kid did for the day. For me, it's more wholesome and valuable to not tell people we did that and just enjoy the moment ourselves.
It's okay to just retain
tangent,
something
but
as a memory.
yeah, yeah. And those little moments. I mean, when your kid gets older, if your phone is in their face all the time, recording everything they do, what do you think they're going to remember? That one time Daddy threw me, 5 feet up in the air, or are they going to remember all the times that you had a phone plastered to their face instead of being in the moment and enjoying it with them? It's kind of how I look at it.
Well, I think always having always taking pictures of everything. I think it also removes some authenticity to certain things.
Yeah.
Where and I know most of the videos that I see on Facebook, having somebody going and doing something nice for, say, a homeless veteran or something like that. The fact that it was recorded and turned into a production, it makes you question whether it was legitimately staged or if it was truly authentic. So I think always having a camera right there, it just removes authenticity from certain moments that may actually be crucial for your kids' development. Everything might feel fake, and if they grow up seeing that, it could open up a whole bunch of different problems. Whether they're able to trust that something's real, or that's how they're going to grow up thinking that's how they should view life, is through a lens.
It's definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, I can look back and obviously we're fortunate that you can document a lot of stuff, and you can have those memories and things because, I was thinking about it before. I played baseball, through high school, and there's probably more pictures of my daughter playing softball in her second year than there are of me playing baseball, the entire time. And that's good and bad. But I mean, she can look back and see that stuff. So, you walk that fine line again, and don't make it a priority, but it's great to document those things.
Yeah. Well, I've also noticed a trend going down, and I love my wife for it, is while she does take a lot of pictures, she actually makes it a point to go and have some of those pictures printed and framed. I've also noticed that in a lot of people my age, you go into their home, they very seldom have photos framed and printed. It's because they have everything on their phone. So it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword, but it just removes the authenticity, and I'd say that a tradition, that you just, certain memories are reserved for just your mind, and then, some are worth preserving. So I don't know. I love my wife because she will go through a lot of the pictures and she'll make it a point to print them and frame them and put them on the wall.
This is very far off topic, but one thing that we do about picture framing is every year at Christmas, we get together with a big extended family and we do instead of a cookie exchange, we do a framed picture exchange where we just take a bunch of framed pictures and exchange them with the other. So
nice.
That's a good way. Cousins and their kids and all that kind of stuff around here because of that. So it's a fun little idea because then you don't have to worry about cookies with the kids getting all their fingers in the, all the good stuff.
That's actually not a bad idea.
That's way more like traditional and awesome than like some of the stuff I see that families do. But my wife has a photography business, so yeah, I feel you on that, JT. She takes a lot of really freaking amazing pictures, and a lot of them I have to get involved with to wrangle Emerson and stuff. But then she goes and prints it, and we almost every wall in our house has like a collage of all the different family photos of the kids and stuff that she's taken, which is pretty cool. But you're right. You go into people's homes now, and you may see like you see the typical maybe wedding photos, or you see photos of like mom and dad, sister, brother, and the kids, but you don't see a lot of
prints.
Yeah.
Or prints or posters. Just lacking all personality.
That's that clean lifestyle, man. Decluttering. which we're in the process of doing. My wife just like hoards shit. I was like, all right, every time you buy something, we got to find something to get rid of. Because, I mean, our house is like 2,500 square feet. And the house that my first house I bought was like 1,000 square feet at best. And within probably 2 years of this house, moving into this house, we were like, where are we going to put stuff? I'm like, how the hell did we like double the amount of space we need to put shit? And now we just, it's, I don't know how it happened, but we just have too many things.
I'm facing that same issue with Tupperware.
Ooh.
Decide in 2 years that I'm going to throw it away. I mean, that's the, that's the.
I blame Amazon.
For sure.
That's we have some elderly neighbors across the street, and every time we see him, he's like, between the three of you that live across the street from us, he was like, you guys single-handedly keep FedEx, UPS, and Amazon in business because they're just constantly coming to like our house and our neighbor houses and shit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, my mom too, man. She gets so many packages. It must be like 3 or 4 a day at this point. I swear to God. I'm like, what do you need?
Yeah.
Like, what could you possibly?
Yep. Yeah, we don't order like the Amazon grocery stuff. It's just junk, like shit we legitimately have. It's wants. It's definitely not needs. So
I do need to get more. So
T-ball, yeah, that was a little bit. If you want to talk about that, I think we got a few minutes left here. I got a little bit of sticker shock. I hadn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it had been freaking forever since I bought my glove. I couldn't find my glove, so I went to look for a glove for myself. And I mean, you know what a good glove feels like, and there's so many options now. But like for a decent adult glove, you're looking at anywhere from like $80 to like $500. And I was like, holy shit. And so I got my glove so I could start throwing catch with him. I got him. We have I don't know if you guys know what Ollie's is. But it's like a discount bargain store that buys like overstock shit. And I got him a little $5 glove when he was like 3.5 there. But when it came time for T-ball and I'm looking at getting him a bat, he had to have a helmet, which was like the cheapest kid's T-ball helmet around here was like $40. A kid's youth glove was like cheapest one you could get was like $25-$30. Pants are like $20 a pair. And I was like, holy shit, this is expensive as hell.
Yeah, not only that, but like when I was playing Little League, like there were team bats. I mean, there was team helmets, and I guess
yeah, you didn't have to bring all that stuff if for whatever reason, if your parents didn't want to buy it or you just didn't give a shit. Yeah, the team brought all that stuff.
But it is crazy how much it costs you just to play Little League sports. And like I said, my daughter's starting to get into golf, and so Play It Again Sports has been like our best friend.
Yeah,
because I'm not dropping a couple $100 for
your kid to try the sport out. Yeah,
no, she's not getting Callaway and paying and all that kind of stuff. We're going to Play It Again and getting the cheapest stuff we can find.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy, especially because I know they're going to get in coach pitch next year, and it's just going to be all new stuff, and you're going to have to get the new glove because the T-ball glove's not going to work anymore, and it's just going to be another August, especially up here in D.
Yeah, Alexandria is not cheap.
It ain't cheap. It's not, soccer is a lot cheaper. You
can do it cheap. You just gotta watch for the off season sales and catch stuff. I mean, we caught I think it was Walmart they put all their baseball shit, and they don't have the top of the line stuff. But for T-ball, like when they put pants on sale for $5 a pair, hell yeah, I'm gonna buy some baseball pants. But yeah, you can do it cheap. And Play It Again Sports is a good one. I remember growing up when if it was I tried roller hockey and like you got to get all the pads and a decent pair of skates and the sticks and the helmet and shit. And so my parents went to play it against sports, and I understand why, because I played it for like 2 years and I was like, I'm over this shit. So yeah, playing against sports is an awesome resource for that kind of thing.
Right on.
That's what you get to look forward to, man.
Note to self: don't go buying brand spanking new shit for a sport that your kid may not play for but one season.
Yeah, if it's their first year,
dirty as hell after the first game, right? They're gonna roll around in the dirt in it. Like they don't need brand new stuff.
I watch all the travel ball. Of course, when I started Googling baseball shit, looking for it for my son, I start getting all these like travel ball videos on Facebook, and parents are dropping like $400 on a bat and $400 on an equipment bag, and like $75 to $100 on these sliding mitts, whatever the fuck those are. Apparently, kids use those now. I was just like, oh my god, that's not my life. But it's fun, man. It's a cool stage of life when your kids they start getting into sports, and because when they start getting into sports, they really start hitting a lot of those developmental milestones and start getting growth spurts and learning bigger, stronger. It's a really cool time. I was really excited when Emerson told me he wanted to sign up for T-ball because his youngest cousin had signed up the year before, and so we went to some games and he watched it. Just super cool, super proud dad moment when you see your kids kind of enter sports. So don't let us scare you with the scary stuff. There is awesome shit to enjoy about it.
Oh yeah, for certain. I think one of the things I have to look forward to about it is I myself, in my own experience in sports, I can say that it was probably one of the most character building things I would ever do. It can carry on later on in life. It teaches you how to deal with a loss or a failure, and how to reassess things and move forward. And I don't know, it sounds kind of cheesy, but the losses that you endure, they teach you to appreciate the victories that you get in life. And so I think sports is probably one of the best character building exercises you can do with your child. So, and
it also, it gives you one more opportunity and reason to connect. I mean, especially like for me, I've got 3 girls, right? So there's things that they want to do with mom, but athletics was kind of like, that was my thing. So that was something that I get to do with them. And so, coaching and kind of taking that extra step. But even if it's practicing after a game, or just sitting down and talking about a game, it gives you just one more reason to connect with your kid.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Well, I'm excited and looking forward to it. This is the one thing that I can be envious of y'all about, is I'm looking forward to having that opportunity with my son.
Oh man, it'll start way, way sooner than you think it is. We have a U3 group in our soccer group, which is under 3. So I mean, it's coming. You don't need to rush it. Enjoy that time while they're snuggly and a little baby and they're sleeping on your chest. You missed that. My 5-year-old started kindergarten a couple days ago, and I just spent most of my Monday sitting here looking through baby pictures and crying like a baby, because he's big now.
Nice. Well, shit, I didn't expect that topic to carry us through a whole episode. That's pretty awesome. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening and hanging out with us. As always, if you missed Brad and JT's intro episodes, go check those out. We've talked about sports a couple times before, so there's some sports stuff, particularly having to do with kids and sports, and a few other episodes. So go back and check those out. But as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. Check out our Time to Dad Facebook group, and we will catch you on the next episode. See you.